Hi, welcome back to Reddit Stories. I'm Shayne. I'm Shayne.
I'm Shayne.
I'm Shayne.
And today's theme.
Am I the asshole for reading my coworker's fan fiction in front of everyone at work?
Let's hear them out.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Was it funny? I just love when they write the title out. And if the title sounds crazy, it's like,
yeah.
You know what? I'm going to stop here.
And like, they got through the whole title and were like, I need an opinion.
The shit people write out in full thinking they're justified is mind-blowing
crazy
to me.
Yeah.
Because usually like when you journal or write things out, it's like, okay, I'm processing it. I now see it on paper. It's different. Am I the asshole for reading my coworker's fan fiction in front of everyone at work? I guess the title sounds bad, but please hear me out. I, a 27-year-old man, am a general manager at a fast food restaurant. Not going to say which because I don't want to get in trouble, with my assistant manager, Sophie, who's 23. Me and Sophie get along pretty well. We joke fight about stuff all the time and like to prank each other a lot. Like prank calls or making the other do fake orders or writing fake surveys about the other or splashing soda on the other. We end up working together a lot since we get a bunch of call-outs, especially at night, and Sophie likes to pick up extra hours. We've both climbed up in the couple years that we've worked there and have a good relationship. When it's dead, Sophie likes to write fan fiction on her phone, which I sometimes tease her about. A while back, I made Sophie read me a line that she was writing, and we were making jokes about it. Last week, I suddenly remembered the fan fiction again and decided to try and find it. I remembered the line she had read to me and was able to search for it online using quotation marks. I'm not going to say which show it's from because I don't want anyone to find it, but it was shocking to read.
Supernatural.
Pretty much the two characters in it worked at a fast food chain and ended up falling in love. It got pretty graphic in some parts too. The main character was essentially a representation of Sophie and the love interest was basically me. I mean, right down to copying conversations that we've had at work. He even had a wife that he was cheating on to be with her. I'm married, but I would never do such a thing. Anyway, a few nights ago, Sophie and the rest of the team threw a party to celebrate a couple of wins. And of course, Sophie pranked me by shoving a cupcake in my face. I remembered her fan fiction, and I thought it would be a good prank, so I pulled up the fan fiction on my phone and started to read it. When she realized what I was reading, Sophie's eyes started to tear up, which I was not expecting. The rest of the team was joking around with her, but she ran out of the party. Now she's not showing up to her shifts or answering my calls or texts. It's weird that Sophie's acting like this since she usually loves pranks and stuff, so now I'm wondering if I took it too far, but I also feel like she shouldn't have been writing those things about me and her too. Am I the asshole?
God, Jesus Christ.
Who's cleaning that up?
I guess my initial thought is I'm like, I don't view, that's not a prank to me.
No, that's not a prank.
That's not,
It's public shaming.
Also, a lot of the stuff they're doing isn't pranks to me.
Splashing soda, we looked at each other. I know it was like, oh yeah, we like splashing soda on each other. It's
I'm like, what?
Got you.
It's like, what?
These
no,
aren't pranks.
Now I'm wet.
Oh, Sprite. No.
Yeah.
That's so dumb. I mean, look, this is a classic case of people sort of like putting two issues that are completely unrelated on the same level.
Right.
I would say he's an asshole for publicly shaming this person about their fanfic, but like the potential for her having a crush on him is also something that should be addressed later over there and doesn't justify the thing.
Yeah, I don't think she realized that he could find it or was going to find it. Because she only told him, he like asked her and she gave him like one quick line. Right. It is still uncomfortable and weird. Yeah. Like if I found that out, I'd be like, hey, are you, but that's a conversation you have.
Yeah.
Right.
Not pull it up and read it.
Oh,
because he even is acknowledging like, hey, I also feel like she should have been writing those things. It's like, okay, if you have feelings about this, don't read it in front of everyone.
Right.
The hell are you doing, man?
Yeah, you could make the argument that it's a public place that she posted this thing, but like that doesn't, you're still like bringing up this like intimate thing in front of everyone, and it's not like, hey guys, let's take a seat and listen to this art that my friend made. It's like, look at this thing, you know, it's presented in a way that makes it a public shaming.
If I was like his buddy, I'd be like, what was the outcome you think was going to happen there?
Right.
Or that you wanted to happen there?
I would argue that this person, I mean, I might be grasping at straws here, but like I would argue that this person is kind of aware of what they were doing. Like I think they're clearly not mature enough to just talk it over with this person.
Right.
So if they're like, uh-oh, my coworker likes me and I'm married and I don't know if there's enough there to even bring it up, but yada, 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 I know I'll make it very publicly known that this is a thing because that's what a normal person would do who didn't know they had a crush on them. And then I'm fine. That's how we deal with it.
Right.
Yeah. I'm so curious. You know, there's a lot of aspects of stories that we read where I can't relate, and like I have such a unique experience being in this industry and doing what we do, where I'm like, oh, I feel a certain way, but I wonder how others feel. Where having fan fiction written about you, it's something I'm so used to. Like we've joked about it for years now of like, oh, people write fan fiction about us, but they are strangers who I've never met. But I'm like, if you found out, if a person working at a job found out their coworker was writing fan fiction very much about them, this is a side conversation, by the way. This is unrelated to this, but I'm just like, I'm curious what that feeling would be like. Because that's got to feel strange, right?
I think I can relate it to us a little bit with that. Because you had brought up like it being publicly posted, and like, yes, you're not wrong. But I've seen things before where they're like, where people have taken like, okay, if you look at Damien's Instagram post from this day, and Damien's Instagram post from this day, and Damien's Instagram post from this day, and you put them all together, then I've come to a conclusion. And I'm like, damn, all of those were public photos, but like, you've kind of dug deeper into my life by putting things together.
Right.
There's a level of like, you're not wrong because it's not behind a wall of any kind, but still socially it's like you've gone a little farther than you should. So maybe that's how most people would feel about fanfic like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Look, regardless, yeah, he's the asshole. The verdict is asshole. I mean, I feel like that's pretty cut and dry. Comments here. So here's an interesting question for you, OP. What's the prank?
Right.
What's the joke?
What is the joke here?
What was everyone supposed to laugh at? Oh, that's right. They're meant to laugh that Sophie is bad at doing something she works hard at. Let's all laugh at Sophie. Not something funny she did, not because of something you did to her, just at her efforts and passions. That's not a joke. That was bullying.
Yep.
You're the asshole and also delusional. If you seriously think that setting and rehashing real conversations means she's using a character as a proxy for you, as opposed to just using what she knows as part of her writing. Also, Sophie isn't a coworker, she's a subordinate. Big, you're the asshole.
Oh,
those are really valid points.
Not only is Sophie the subordinate, they are the manager and assistant manager for everyone else at the party, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So they're the bosses together.
So true.
So
that
now
so much more
your
weight.
bosses are like in a weird thing. Like that's
something that
How's Sophie supposed to be like in a position of power with everybody laughing at her?
right.
Oh no.
Yeah, that totally flew over my head. And now thinking about it, it's like that adds that adds not only a layer of you're the asshole, I'm like, what is the ramifications of that? Like, could she, like, I don't know. This
sue or something?
This now feels like harassment, and you could argue based on the contents of it that he's revealing of like, I'm curious. I'm so curious.
Yeah, this starts to get into HR
If she brought that to HR or a lawyer, what is that?
Right.
I don't know.
A payday is what I'm saying.
Get that check, Sophie.
Secure the bag, Sophie.
There's also, like he's 27, she's 23. I mean,
babies.
It's just enough that it's like, that's a lot. Someone else said, you're the asshole. That wasn't a prank. You intentionally embarrassed her in front of people. A prank is something silly when you both laugh together. This was mean-spirited, and it humiliated her. You should apologize. I think he should more than apologize. He needs to, really...
Cut off his ear and mail it to her. Just Van Gogh it.
Should Van Gogh it. Now that's art.
You got to do it.
Update.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay. Thank you everyone for reading and giving your honest feedback. It's been a couple of weeks since I first posted that day, and I want to let you know that I read most of your comments and had a hard time accepting that I'm the asshole. However, after reading and rereading and remembering the situation, I feel that your votes are fair. A lot of you advised that I leave Sophie alone, which I did, but what surprised me is that she actually came into work for her next scheduled shift after that post went up. I was intending on leaving her alone, but she approached me first, so we sat in the back room and had a discussion. I was ready for her to hand in her resignation or talk about this to higher-ups, as some of you had said, but instead she apologized to me. She said that she was sorry for writing fan fiction at work and for including personal stories. She admitted that the character was about me after all. After reading all of your comments, I was beginning to think that our time together was just inspiration, but she ended up confessing to me. I told Sophie that she had no reason to be sorry and that I had to be responsible for my actions. I acted inappropriately with her at work and allowed these feelings to develop instead of setting boundaries. I also humiliated her and read her diary in front of the whole class, and I apologized. She actually ended up laughing about it, but I do admit that it felt kind of like she was taking the higher ground and trying not to seem that hurt by it. I asked her if she wanted to transfer to a different location, and she said no. She also said she wasn't looking for a new job. I had a separate talk with the rest of the team about what happened, and she joked around with them. Sophie's maturity taught me a lot about myself and things I need to work on. So that's what I've been doing. She and the rest of the team still like to do pranks, but I stay out of it now. As a manager, I've got to be in control and focus on the success of the restaurant. Sophie and I are on good terms again, but we've established clear boundaries, and it seems that she's starting to move on. Thank you all again for helping me realize that I'm the asshole. Wow.
Okay. Take it. I mean, good for Sophie, you know, obviously being like the more mature person, but like also like, why are you, I don't know. That's.
Yeah, she didn't have to apologize.
Right.
I don't think so.
No.
Not in that case.
No.
It was another situation of like, he did a wrong thing, and completely unrelated to that, she's like, also I wrote this about us. So like, that's a separate issue.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, who knows? This is all from his perspective, but he seems to be pretty cut and dry about like, yeah, I should have been establishing boundaries. I will, you know, drop them now. Who knows if he was feeding into it? That's not really my job to read into, but like, poor thing having to continue on at work, but I'm glad they addressed it and hopefully it's appropriate now.
Yeah, yeah, fascinating. Well, all right.
Also, that is a young store, whatever it is, where the person most senior is 27.
Yeah.
It's gotta be a Chipotle.
Or like a Jimmy John's. When I worked at Jimmy
Oh,
John's, it was
Jimmy
like,
John's.
everyone was under 30.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Next story. I planted bamboo that overrun my neighbor's property over a security light. The longer it's planned out, the better.
Yeah. You know I love a long con.
All right,
do.
here we go.
My girl loves a long con.
If I were to ever.
Yeah.
If I were.
About 4 years ago, I used to live in a nice homeowners association in a small town in Texas and enjoyed having only one neighbor over my backyard fence. The plot was about 2 acres and the other side of the backyard butted up to a hayfield. The stars were beautiful at night because of virtually no light pollution. Until the neighbor decided to install an incredibly bright security light over their back porch aimed right at my back patio and bedroom windows. I tried to ignore it at first and put shades in the bedroom, but out on the patio it was like having a bright LED headlight in your face all night. I consulted the HOA about adding a privacy addition to my fence to increase its height, and they said no because it's already at the 8-foot max allowed height. They said there was nothing in the bylaws or whatever about bright lights, so there was nothing they could do. Diplomacy. So, I hated for this to be the thing where we finally had a formal greeting after 3 years of back porch waves, but I walked over and rang the doorbell with $20. I politely explained how the light was causing the aforementioned nuisance and asked if there was any way I could convince him to point the light down or in a different direction, and even offered to buy him a case of beer, the $20, out of goodwill and even a new motion-sensing light. He seemed nice and agreed to point it down, but after waiting a month, nothing changed. I went back to have another polite conversation, and he said he had changed his mind and was going to leave it on every night and leave it pointed as is. Petty revenge. Needless to say, I was a bit upset that diplomacy failed and started figuring out how to win. If the military taught me anything, there's always ways to adapt and overcome. So I started researching fast-growing plants to create big privacy walls and reading through the HOA bylaws and city-state ordinances about what I could or couldn't plant and if there were any repercussions for encroachment across the property line. I quickly discovered running bamboo. Despite being very invasive, would grow super fast to make the neighbor's house and light disappear from view, there was nothing on the HOA state city books to prevent me from planting it or cause legal recourse if it spread and grew on his side of the fence. Only thing he could do was cut anything that grew on his side of the line. So I pulled the trigger and planted a bunch of golden bamboo, which grows and spreads crazy fast in Texas and grows up to 20 feet tall. I didn't care if it took over the fence line because his house is 15 feet from the fence, while mine was 50 yards away, so I planted a bunch right against the fence and only put root barrier on my side to prevent it spreading into my yard. Within 6 months, his house and light were gone from view, replaced by a pretty bamboo jungle row at the edge of my yard. Within 1 year, he complained it was growing into his yard via mailed letters. They went right into the trash with no response. He rang my doorbell once and I looked at him through the window, but just didn't answer the door. I unexpectedly sold the house and moved 2 years after planting for a career opportunity. It's been 2 years since I sold, and I just checked the property on Google Earth, and his entire backyard is bamboo. He frickin'...
I love it.
He played God. He changed the environment of that mess.
I am in full support of that story.
That's awesome.
My gosh.
Yeah.
This isn't revengeful, this is resourceful.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is, I love that this person went back into the HOA and looked between the lines. The only thing that I'm like, is when the neighbor came to this person's house to be like, I have an issue. He did the same thing that he did to him.
Yeah, but he gave that guy an opportunity, I guess you could say. Like, yeah.
There definitely would have been an opportunity for ceasefire, I think. But at that point, I think he was already pissed. I think he did him wrong already. It wasn't just like, oh, I messed up and now he's getting revenge on him. Like, he deliberately, I think, took that money, agreed to point down.
I don't know if he took the money out of Goodwill. And I offered, it just said I offered, I even offered to buy him a case of beer of Goodwill. And I knew he never said whether he took it or not.
All right.
But if he took the beer, then yeah, no.
Yeah. I'm gonna assume
Alter
that he took the 20 and, like, you know.
Yeah, just for our sake.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm
Look,
proud.
he broke 0 laws. He's allowed to plant plants in his own yard. And the guy is in charge of his own yard. He probably could have, probably is a lot of work, but he probably could have taken care of the bamboo. It seems like he's just letting it happen.
You know what? And I love, too, that he did so much research that he also was like, oh, and I can't have it spread onto my side of the yard. So he did enough detail to where it would just grow on the opposite side.
Yeah.
Brava.
Yeah. No, he was Captain Planet over there.
Like, that is so funny.
Yeah.
I'm feeling inspired.
It's crazy to me how fast bamboo grows.
And doesn't it have to grow really close together so the light doesn't seep through?
No, bamboo's like, it's tight knit and it's a lot of it. And I do think it's hard to get rid of because it's so sturdy.
That's
awesome.
sick,
That's
dude.
awesome. That is great.
That guy, the bamboo might grow around that man's house and he might never be able to get out.
That's what we're hoping.
Hopefully.
But shout out Texas. Crazy things over there.
Some comments. As someone who has dealt with bamboo, this is almost nuclear revenge. OP responded, I haven't planted any since and probably never will. Someone said, the yard I bought had 3 unrestricted bamboo plants. It took me 2 years to get the shit out. I applaud your scheme. Wow. Someone said, I remember reading a Redditor post with the same floodlight issue, and they covered their windows with reflective mirror sheets.
Oh.
Whoa,
that can't be cute.
I just can't believe people would point a light at someone's house.
Right. That's the thing that we got to dig into too. What an asshole move of just like.
What was his reasoning?
Taking like this like massive security measure, but then like deliberately pointing it toward your neighbor, which is making a situation much worse for them. And then when they come to your door and ask you, like he's not asking him to take it down. He's like, can you just point it down or in a different direction? And then he deliberately doesn't do that after agreeing to.
I'm starting to get a little freaked out because my parents' house, their neighbor has a lot of bamboo. And what if my dad has a light? What if this is about my dad?
Well, this is in Texas.
Okay.
Also, I don't know if bamboo grows at the same pace here as it does. Because Texas, I think, is very like humid and like, or wherever they are. I mean, it might just be the right conditions.
Yeah. My dad has a bright light that goes on outside when he takes the trash out.
That's different.
But this is just like a light?
I think this.
Maybe we can contact your parents' neighbors and give them some ideas.
So one question I have is the neighbor did ask, or he asked the neighbor once and then resorted to this petty revenge. Do you think that's fine? Do you think another time?
Yeah, I would have personally had one more, like, hey, I thought we agreed, just to give them the chance to be an outright asshole to me and be like, well, actually, no, didn't he? Because he had one where he was like, I changed my mind.
Oh, you're so right. He did go a second time. Never mind.
Yeah, and the guy was like, I changed my
what?
mind. And then
You're
it's like,
right.
great, well, I made up mine, and I'm going to kill you with bamboo.
Yeah, I think with his type of revenge, I don't think that's a big deal. I think if he like broke a window or like lit his house on fire, I'd be like, you know what, ask a couple more times.
Yeah.
But with bamboo.
I love that it just took that so long to like grow and surround, and then eventually he moved out of the house, and he's just like still.
The fact that he left it there is
see
crazy.
it,
That's commitment.
Yeah.
All right, next story. Am I the asshole for eating too many cucumbers? Right off the bat, no.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any amount that you could eat.
Cut and dry, honestly.
What's happening? Yeah.
All right, moving on. All right, let's see here. This is perhaps the most bizarre Am I the Asshole post I have ever written, but I'm honestly so confused. Like, I feel like I can't possibly be the asshole, but then sometimes people are too blind to see their own flaws, so maybe I really am. For as long as I can remember, I've had this quirk, I guess you could call it, that I never snack on anything other than cucumber. I shouldn't say never, technically, since socially I'll get ice cream or eat a few chips at a party. I'm not a picky eater by any means, but my snack of choice has always been cucumbers. I eat pretty healthily anyways, so a lot of fruits and veggies are a part of my diet. Since veggies are lower in calories, I have to eat a lot of them to eat enough. So I'll usually have some sliced cucumber in my purse that I munch on throughout the day, and I'll always have a cucumber in my car that I just eat whole when I'm driving. I go through several cucumbers daily. Although it's not healthy, I've had days where I've felt really depressed and overwhelmed and have binge eaten nothing but cucumber. I think I've eaten perhaps 35 on very extreme days. Okay. Recently, this quirk has begun to drive this is a 22-year-old woman, my boyfriend, who's 33, of 6 months, insane. His words, not mine. He says it's highly inappropriate to carry them everywhere with me. We spent last weekend at his parents' lake house, and I provided my own cucumber to snack on. One night before bed, it's unfortunately very funny.
Will you guys be providing the cucumbers, or shall I provide my own?
Nice to meet you.
One night before bed, I was in my room gnawing on a cucumber when his mother walked in. Under normal circumstances, I never would eat that around others. I'd slice it up. She was puzzled, but chuckled and said, "My, you do like cucumber." My boyfriend later told me that I humiliated him with my childish and immature eating habits. I told him that his mom caught me in a low moment. He was being ridiculous since he eats a bag of chips every day, and I don't bat an eye. He told me that chips were a normal snack and whole cucumbers were deranged. He told me I needed to stop eating cucumbers and that my behavior was becoming a deal breaker for him. I feel really bothered, but I think cucumbers are a weird hill to die on, and I don't want to lose my relationship. So am I the asshole? Edit here. I'd just like to add that my boyfriend has never expressed any issue with my cucumber habits before now. The incident in question was because around 8 p.m. I was getting really hungry, and I don't know his family super well, so I didn't want to go rummaging, ask for a snack, and I didn't want to bother them by asking for a cutting board or something to cut up my cucumber because of, well, mild social anxiety. So I shut myself in the guest room and figured I'd just snack on a cucumber quickly. I don't usually go hide and eat cucumbers, haha. But then his mom walked in looking for my boyfriend, presumably, and was a little surprised but seemed amused and not upset or anything. I honestly didn't think it'd turn into such a big deal for him.
There's something going on more than the cucumber.
How is this the hardest one to unpack that I've ever encountered?
Any ones that involve veggies are always confusing, because there was also the guy who was stealing onions.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
There's that
Love
one.
that episode. You guys did great work there.
Thanks, man. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
I think it's... I don't see an issue. You're allowed to eat cucumbers.
I can't help but feel like this is bigger than the cucumber. Like, I feel like she's using the cucumber as like almost like biting her nails. Like she's just like,
Valid.
she's like, ah.
But I would say it's like, if you're gonna have something like that, like,
great.
You're eating cucumbers. There's really, I don't think you can eat too many cucumbers.
I think it's like, cool. She's eating a lot of cucumbers. She's dealing with stress with cucumbers.
And you can eat a lot of cucumbers because I think they're like, they're one of the foods that have like almost like negative calories because it takes more to digest them than they actually bring in.
It's a lot of water. I think you're right though. It is like, I do think there's a social anxiety thing. She brings it out up herself. Like, and you know, just getting the vibe from this person, I get the sense that they maybe are a little bit socially awkward, and that's okay.
Totally.
I think this is the wrong subreddit for this question. Like, she's not an asshole.
No.
We can acknowledge it's a little different, and if it's your favorite thing, you should probably have a partner that's like on board.
Yeah, I'm a little bit like a deal breaker. Like,
He's
what is he like?
33 and she's
How could
25.
you dare? My mom caught you.
Yeah, I do agree that it's like, it does seem to probably be tied to some sort of like psychological thing, but it's just not harmful. Like, it's just not a big deal. Like, she probably could benefit from talking to a therapist and being like, where does this come from? Why am I doing this? Like,
I don't think she's an asshole, though.
No, not by no means. I also think it's funny that her 33-year-old boyfriend is calling her immature. It's like, well, you dated a 22-year-old and you're upset, like, and like she's not even, what she's doing isn't immature at all.
Yeah.
But he's being controlling, and it's like, dude.
She's 22. Like, she's trying to deal with a lot of things, and she's hiding in the guest room and eating her cucumbers. The issue that I have is the cucumbers are in her car.
No, it's like, it's weird. Don't get it twisted. It's weird as hell, but she's not an asshole.
No, she's not an asshole, but it's also like, cucumbers, get it, girl, if that's your thing.
Yeah, Bugs Bunny basically did that all the time.
Yeah,
Maybe
with
she's
carrots.
maybe she's a rabbit.
Maybe she's just like a little rabbit.
She's a rabbit.
Maybe he's dating her because she's 22 because she doesn't have much time left because 22 is old for a rabbit.
That's true.
No,
That's
like,
true.
But that said, like, look, 11-year age gap, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's a lot. Not saying it hasn't ever worked out before, but inherently with that kind of age difference, there is going to be some issue with control or like the perception of like, you know, the fact that he's like, you're acting immature. That is an asshole thing in and of itself because he wants to control how she's perceived. Like, look, family.
The verdict was not the asshole. Some comments. Not the asshole. Dump your boyfriend and enjoy your cucumbers. Note, I personally find cucumbers disgusting, and it would still never occur to me to care about this. Someone said, hey, cucumber connoisseur, are we talking about slicing cukes, Kirby's, gherkins, English cukes? There's a big difference between eating 35 gherkins and 35 English cucumbers. That's almost 41 feet of cucumber on a bad day. It's true. It's true.
Damn, someone broke it down.
No, because there's the small cucumbers that you use for like pickling.
Right.
Yes.
And then, can I tell you something embarrassing?
Please.
Sure.
I think it's sort of embarrassing. So whenever I bought pickles and I was just like, oh, these used to be cucumbers, I thought they would put giant cucumbers and when you pickled them, they shrunk down into little guys. I didn't realize, like, no, they were already that size.
I've never put that together, to be honest. I've never thought, I'm like, yes, these used to be cucumbers. I never thought about the size differential.
Wait a second. You mean the little?
No, like regular but regular pickles are like this big.
Yeah.
And cucumbers are like often big,
Oh,
you know?
no. But there are cucumbers that are this big.
I know, and they use those for pickles.
Uh-oh.
And
Oh no, Shayne, that's embarrassing.
I'm in solidarity with you. I didn't.
No, I'm just kidding. It's fine.
Let's
Let's
my
pickle
biggest
together.
confession.
Do you want to take a pickling class?
I've made pickles before. It's super easy and great.
So then you know.
Well, that's how I learned.
You guys tell me how it goes for sure.
Yeah, we'll let you know.
I will also point out one more thing about hers, though. Clearly, she's not the asshole. She starts it off with, this is the weirdest one I've written.
I know.
She's very full of self-doubt if you're constantly writing things, or maybe you're always an asshole, but like that's the first time it's come up.
She just also seems very self-conscious.
Yes.
Like I think years from now,
anxious.
she's not going to give a shit about her cucumber obsession, and if a boyfriend is like talk shit about it, she's like, get the f out of my house. Lastly, someone said, but it doesn't seem like he's worried about her cucumber eating habit. It seems like he's worried about how her cucumber eating habit reflects on him, and those are two very different things. And absolutely, I just think it's always a red flag when someone's like embarrassed by someone's behavior in front of their parents or family. It's like, but that's their behavior always. There's a big update here.
How can there be a big update?
It wasn't cucumbers.
It was drugs.
It was drugs. Okay. I didn't expect my first post to really get any attention, so I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to read it and give your judgment. To those of you who expressed concern for my cucumber addiction / that I have an eating disorder, I can assure you I am perfectly healthy. I wouldn't consider myself addicted, nor do I have an ED at all. I just really enjoy my cucumbers. I can go days without eating them. I don't need my cucumber fix. It's just if I'm going to snack, I'd prefer to eat a cuke. I would consider the amount I snack on cucumbers proportional to the amount my boyfriend or any normal person would snack on chips or other junk food. I just occasionally eat more since they're low in calories. Additionally, I've had a few cucumber binges. I am well aware that those are not healthy, just like binging on junk food isn't healthy. But that's extremely uncommon for me, and for the most part, I eat well, well-balanced, healthy diet. However, I will talk to my doctor about it to ensure that it's not worrying. As for my boyfriend, we ended up calling it quits. I was pretty hurt at first, but I think perhaps his huge reaction to cucumbers was indeed a red flag for controlling behavior. I think that he was trying to call my bluff, expecting me to give up my cukes for him, so the breakup took him a bit by surprise, too. How it went down was that I told him we needed to have a chat. I told him that it was unacceptable to tell me what I was allowed to eat. I added that if listening to me chow down on cucumbers was what bothered him, as some of you in the comments noted, I would avoid eating them when he was around. Apparently, the very idea of me eating so many cucumbers was driving him nuts, not the noise. I decided to try and compromise. He's a pretty heavy drinker and will get drunk pretty often. All right, man. I snack on 50 Bud Lights a day, and that's fine. I know that it's very bad for his health, and I have expressed that concern in the past. I told him that I'd give up cucumbers if he gave up alcohol. Not equivalent.
What are we?
At all.
What's happening?
That's insane.
Queen takes pawn.
He declined my offer, threw out a few uncreative insults and expletives, and I am now writing this from my mom's couch with a cucumber in my hand and a cucumber in my heart. I'm still...
That's gonna be like, cucumber in my hand, cucumber in my mouth, cucumber in my other hand, typing with him.
I have an update.
It takes forever.
I'm still unclear on why the cucumbers were such an issue, why I could never eat them again, why me suggesting he give up alcohol was such a big deal, among other things, but I guess I'll never know now. Edit, I seem to have forgotten to add this as it was a common question on the original post and I'm seeing it in the comments now. No, I did not eat 35 of those mammoth cucumbers. My eating habits may be odd, but I'm not completely insane. I think on my last cucumber binge, which occurs super rarely and it was quite a while ago, I had maybe 3 or 4 big ones and the rest were the mini cukes. I do buy a lot of them at the grocery store, but I have a cucumber dealer who hooks me up with huge batches.
Cucumber dealer?
No, I'm
sorry. Dude, this is her vice. She has made cucumbers into like the hardest drug on.
Do you remember the cucumber season of The Wire?
Yeah, man.
Sucks.
A lot of people died that season.
Hard.
Just for some added clarification for those who think my boyfriend is completely justified in his cucumber hate and that I'm a lunatic, I agree, sort of. If he had been bothered by the chewing or concerned about my health, I was ready to talk about it and work something out. I didn't enter into the discussion for a fight or with the intention of breaking up. His attempted grasp for control over my food wasn't even the reason why I broke up with him. But when he started shouting at me and calling me a bitch, which he had never done before, I decided to end things.
Yeah,
well,
do it.
good for you there.
What?
Every reveal of that was so funny. I mean, it's sad. It's funny now that she's broken up with him, but for her to just be like, yeah, he drinks all the time. He's drunk like every night, and like
he calls me a bitch all the time. It's like, am I the asshole for eating cucumbers alone?
Not to pick her apart too much, she does say this is the weirdest post I've ever written. And she said I wasn't expecting my first post to blow up. And then when she says, "Don't worry, I've got a cucumber dealer," I'm like, I'm hoping this is real, but I'm like, there's so many things where I'm like, you are the most quirky person.
Yeah.
That's
quirky.
She's just quirky. She goes to a farmer's market, is what it is.
She's got glasses on.
she's got a dealer. It's a farmer's market.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
someone who...
she's cool and quirky and fun.
His name is Ralph's Kroger. It's the store.
It just feels like a Netflix, like that felt like the end of like a Netflix like love romance.
Yeah.
Like
sounds like a
falling
Tim
in love,
Robbins.
where it's like, now I'm on my mom's couch with a cucumber in hand and a cucumber in my heart. Update. Update.
It sounds like a Tim Robinson character to me. It's just like, yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna have some cucumbers.
God.
You don't like the cukes, you don't get my lukes.
Nice.
Nice.
Sorry.
Well, good for her.
Well, this will keep me up at night. Don't know why.
The chewing.
Thinking about that nonstop.
It's
I will say I was
alright.
concerned about the chewing. I was like, if it's the chewing, I'd probably...
She said it wasn't the noise.
Right, which I'm glad.
Which is crazy because eating a cucumber is so loud.
She's housing those things all stealthy. That's insane. It's like, thump.
Well, that one was hilarious.
Yeah.
And good for her. She's out of that shit. Okay.
I think we changed some lives today.
Okay, moving on from that. Next story. Just found out that my fiance keeps a shrine dedicated to me and has collected a used condom of mine.
Cool.
Honestly, love that.
Sick as hell. Kind of a sleigh.
That's commitment.
Found out my fiance loves
me?
I think my fiance loves me too much.
Just like stewing over here, like, oh yeah, tell me about it.
She needs to back off a little bit. Let's see. My fiance, a 32-year-old woman, and I, a 23-year-old man, are in the process of moving in together. I have been helping her move her stuff from her apartment, but have just found something peculiar in the midst of it. Moving through the stuff in her closet, I have found out that she has a shrine dedicated to me. It was in a treasure chest of sorts, and at first I thought nothing of it because it just contained pictures of us. But upon further inspection, I have found out that she has been collecting personal belongings of mine. I have found my underwear, my toothbrush, and an actual used condom of mine. The other belongings didn't disturb me as much, but I think the condom takes the cake. I would like to talk about this with my fiance, but I have no idea how to bring it up. Update, 4 days later.
Yeah, going right into the update. Okay. Damn.
Yeah, that's just it. This one's a little different. This morning, my fiance surprised me for Valentine's Day. She brought over a cookie cake, and the icing read, "Nice reaction, sucker, XOXO." She then started to laugh profusely and get red like a spawn of Satan before telling me the truth. Basically, the whole shrine and condom thing was a prank she had been planning ever since we decided to move. She even put a hidden camera phone charger in her room to get my reaction. I've just seen the footage and I look like a buffoon in headlights. I told her that I even posted on Reddit to get advice on the matter, and she started to laugh like a maniac again. She sounds like a hyena, I swear. Glad my fiance isn't crazy, but I hope our future kids don't have her sick sense of humor.
Yeah.
Was the condom real?
I think all of it was real, but it was a prank.
Right.
Yeah.
What?
No, I need answers on that. I don't think we have answers on that. There's just some comments here. Plot twist, OP is dead. Fiance took control of his account and is tying loose ends. Someone said, glad my fiance isn't crazy. She just planted a fake shrine. Where did she get all this stuff? Recorded your reaction and laughed like a maniac? Yeah, definitely not crazy. And then lastly, honestly, pranks have limits. I don't know how you are comfortable with this, but to each their own, I guess. Best to set some boundaries. However, if you find it funny, it's fine, I guess. Both y'all just be careful and remain safe in the future. Yeah, they never.
Right.
He never specified like, oh, actually, the condom.
And I loved it.
No, if he wrote the first post like, there's a used condom in there, it's like, yeah, he knew it was a used condom, like, or else
Right.
she's impressive for faking that so well. She's like, don't worry, no, it was someone else's. Don't worry, it wasn't.
Oh my God.
I guess yeah. Like if he thought it was funny, I guess there's no harm. It's just like. It's like a 13 out of 10. It's like
Yeah.
It's like whoa.
If people are cool with that with each other, if that's their level, like that comment says, cool. I think for me, it would be a lot. I think being recorded without knowing it, and just that level of, if the condom's real, I'd be like, hey. Either version of this is the same now. Like
Right. Regardless, you have a used condom
You
in
did
here.
the thing. It's the same thing where it's like, I punched you as a joke. It's like, no, you punched me, and your reasoning doesn't really matter. It's like, you
Right.
still had a thing to me. I will say, if it's in a treasure chest, not really a shrine. You're going to need like an altar, some candles.
Right.
I'm talking Helga Pataki situation.
Right.
And
This is a memory box.
This is a memory box. Thank you. And it is also evidence. I will also say, like, yes, if he's fine with it, sure. And like theoretically, if you think about like where you'd get all these things, you print out photos, and like a condom and some underwear, frankly, could be gotten in the same night if she had the idea in that moment to be like, oh, I'm gonna snag his underwear, whatever. Point is, like, he went on Reddit to ask for advice. This doesn't seem like it's par for the course. And also in his descriptions from her, it's like, it's not even like, I love her, wacky personality. It's like, she turned red like a demon, like Beelzebub himself, the crimson of her skin, and laughed like a hyena, like jackals in the night. I hope our children aren't like her. So everything turned out okay. And I'm like,
And we're getting married.
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe you got a nice little insight into a new part of her that he hasn't seen yet.
yeah.
It's just a lot. It's just a lot. And putting myself in that situation of his shoes, I think I'd be like, okay, all right. But no other updates, so I have no idea what occurred. I like how all the advice that he's put it on relationship, but all the advice is just like, what?
Everyone's like, whoa.
Oh, she got you with the old condom box, huh? Yeah.
Okay.
I remember my first relationship.
Theory, what if the box was real and she's just playing it off? But she was recording him. She was recording him. And she showed him his reaction. So she filmed it just to show him his reaction.
The cake.
He didn't need
You know what?
No, you know what? The cake is also insane.
That's also insane, because you could be like, oh, can I show you this funny video I saw today? It's your reaction, I was aware. So much easier than cookie cake, and I love cookie cake.
It's just a whole lot.
It's a lot.
All of it's a lot.
Love to the bride and groom.
I do feel like if she was trying to tie up loose ends, she'd be like, well, it's great, can't wait. Actually got a job offer in Peru, and I will be going, and I won't have internet, so goodbye, thank you, relationship advice.
Now.
Like, yeah, I'm leaving now, goodbye. And then,
But I'm taking the condom.
yeah.
Runs away.
That's where I left that. I will say, yeah, he was done with it.
I
so,
wouldn't be
like,
surprised at this point
Right?
from her.
No, yeah.
All right, moving on. Watching my housemate die inside. This happened in my second year of university in the UK circa 1998. 6 of us shared a house with an even split of boys and girls. John was my best mate and was very shy and had no confidence with girls. He got on really well with the girls we lived with, Sarah in particular. When we moved in, Sarah had a boyfriend who thankfully after a few months she broke up as he was a d***. After this, Sarah and John grew closer and she would quite often sit and cuddle with him while watching TV, dance with him when we were out, and generally spent a lot of time with him. John was clueless about women and thought they were just besties, but it was clear to everyone that they were into each other. The important point to this story is John was still a virgin. Our other male housemate, Steve, was the opposite of John. He was a player. He had a girlfriend from school who was a few hours away at another university, so he'd regularly sleep with anyone that would have him. He also had a crush on Sarah and tried it on with her a few times and got rejected. Steve used to take the mickey out of John for being a virgin. This different terminology is so funny.
Take the Mickey out on him.
Steve used to take the mickey out of John for being a virgin.
Get on.
I think he's clearly making fun of John for being a virgin.
Sure.
That's universal in every language.
A note from our producer, take the mickey out is apparently similar to taking the piss out of.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
At first, it was every so often, and then when John and Sarah were getting closer, he started to call him Virgin Boy in an attempt to belittle him. The rest of us told him to knock it off, but he persisted for a few weeks. Not long after, we'd got back from Christmas break, a few of us were in the living room after university, and Steve walked in and asked me and Virgin Boy if we'd like to order pizza for dinner. Sarah walked in from the kitchen and at that point walked over to John, sat on his knee, kissed him, looked over at Steve and said, "You can't call him that anymore. We had a great time this morning and he made me several times. I doubt you've ever managed that with your tiny cock." The rest of us
said that?
Sarah said that. The rest of us sat there trying to stifle laughter. Steve went bright red, mumbled something and went to his room. Turned out Sarah had made a move on John that morning. They both admitted to being into each other and had slept together. Sarah snapped when she heard Virgin Boy and decided she'd had enough of Steve.
Wow.
John and Sarah are still together, married with 3 kids.
Shut up!
Damn.
Wait, can you read what she said to him again?
She said...
And say it like her.
Yeah.
Okay. So she walks out after, because Steve tries to
take the mickey out on him.
Yeah, Steve tries to take the mickey out of John here, calls him Virgin Boy. Sarah walks out and she goes, "You can't call him that anymore. We had a great time this morning and he made me several times. I doubt you've ever managed that with your tiny cock."
Oh my God, that really went so hard.
That's devastating. Dude, I mean, after that, John has to marry her.
Oh, yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Oh, yeah.
Move on?
Do you think he made her come multiple times with his
yeah.
first time having sex?
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. Of course.
I don't know. I just think I think it's like, what else? I think she really, really liked him. At the very least, regardless of what actually happened, I think she was just like, I'm willing to go to bat for this dude.
No, I love that so much.
It's fucking awesome.
That's great.
Joke's on you, I made a move on him this morning.
Which is also kind of devastating, because that's crazy. Like, he was into Sarah, and for Sarah to be like, I'm
into him.
I made the move.
No,
like, that hurts a lot.
He deserved that. Like, he was being insecure, and he was like, oh, I can't get with this girl who I've been rejecting, or who has rejected me. Let me make fun of somebody who she is clearly into, and then he deserved all the revenge.
Well, mind you, Steve has a girlfriend at another university, so he's just cheating on her all the time.
Steve.
They said that. They said at the beginning, they said Steve was the opposite of John. He was a player. He had a girlfriend from school who was a few hours away at another university, so he'd regularly sleep with anyone that would have him. And he had a crush on Sarah and tried it on with her a few times and got rejected.
Oh.
So he's just a huge piece of shit.
Oh, yeah. No, trash.
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 Crazy.
Oh my God.
Good, he deserved that.
That's like a movie level, like, and I mean, John didn't get revenge, but like Sarah got revenge for him.
Oh, but John,
He made me
John got
multiple
revenge.
times.
Oh my
John
God.
got revenge.
John got revenge by
Multiple
just being a
times.
good guy.
If I was John and she said that, I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, you heard what she said.
And then Sarah would be like, never mind.
Oh.
3 times.
I take back my orgasms.
Shit.
They didn't happen.
That never happened.
I take those back.
Oh my
Damn.
gosh, that's wild.
That's awesome.
That's fucking sick.
Wow.
Some comments. I was so scared that Steve would steal Sarah from John and make fun of him afterwards.
Yeah.
Glad I was wrong, and Sarah sounds like an awesome mate. Lucky for them to have found each other and such a wholesome ending. Someone said, F John, in this case. Someone said,
John did nothing to you.
John got
but he got
He got
multiple times.
Someone said, the pettiest revenge is a life well lived. Damn, that's even, unless Steve changed his ways and became a better person, you know, he's probably, to then see like, oh, and then he's married and like happy, 3 kids.
Yeah.
Like really, damn.
Yeah.
I hope Steve reaches out with an update on his own life.
Sarah's actually the hero of this.
We know Sarah's great.
I love Sarah. I don't love body shaming, but it was funny.
Oh yeah, she did say he is a tiny. She didn't necessarily.
She did say he had a tiny.
She didn't need that part.
But it was like an icing on the cake. It was
That's
just like
not
a
the.
fuck
I
you.
can tell you as a dude, that's not the part that bothered Steve. That's not the part at all.
Okay.
Like I don't think so. It also sounds like she rejected him. I don't think they ever actually.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I think what hurt her what hurt him was just like holy shit. Like John.
Yeah.
Like the girl that I have a crush on approached him, had sex with him, and like,
publicly
and
told
is also now like standing up for him
Exactly.
here. Like really cares about
Yeah.
him. Like on a level beyond just sexual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which dudes will never say that matters to them.
Yeah.
But it does.
Oh.
I
He
think,
made
like
me
that hurts.
3
Like
times.
deep down, like that's deep down in his core where he doesn't even realize it hurts him.
Whoa.
Yeah.
His heart hurts.
Like he hurts that like Sarah chose John.
That there's like real care there.
Wow.
But he's not going to get that because he's being a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Right. But hopefully this is the moment when he.
Yeah.
Wakes
Hopefully
up.
his girlfriend.
Imagine-
Someone needs to tell his girlfriend that he's cheating
Yeah.
on her.
Oh yeah, I hope she knows
Imagine
now.
being the other roommates, being like, roommate meeting, we got to clean the kitchen more.
Yeah, there was a 4th roommate just eating
Yeah.
cereal at that table. Like, damn.
Like,
Dude, this is crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, next story. Am I the asshole for talking to a girl in a bikini on a beach? This is a 37-year-old man.
Yes.
My wife, who's 35, is making me write this post. She feels my behavior during our vacation was completely inappropriate, while I think that it was completely acceptable and she is wrong. She loves this subreddit and wants for all of you to weigh in on our debate and solve this issue for us. We have been married for 7 years and have a 3-year-old toddler. A few weeks ago, we went to Miami for a vacation and had a fun time. On the second day on the beach, we were relaxing on the beach chairs. My son and I were playing on the beach while my wife was soaking in the sun. I must add here that I love her very much and she is the most beautiful person I have ever laid eyes on.
Hear me out.
At one point, my son wanted to build a sandcastle, and I took him to the wet sand near the water with all his plastic toys. While he was playing, a lady, mid-30s, walked up to us and told me how cute my son is. I smiled and said thanks. She was looking towards the water constantly, and I think her kids must be in the water, and she was watching them. Now, according to my wife, she was wearing a completely inappropriate, over-the-top bikini that left nothing for imagination. According to me, I did not notice what she was wearing and had no comments. She was trying to make small talk and was asking me about my son's name, how old he is, where we are from, etc. I was also polite and had a brief conversation with her. We talked about where we are from, how long we were in Miami, etc. Finally, my son had enough and he wanted to go back. So I said bye and came back and sat next to my wife. The whole conversation may have lasted for less than 10 minutes. My wife was not happy with me talking to this lady. She kept on telling me how inappropriate it was to talk to that girl in the tiny bikini, and that she was trying to flirt with me. I told her what we talked about, and it was not even remotely flirty. I told her that this is common, and when my son is with me in the park or other places, he gets a lot of attention from other moms, and they always come and have a chat. My wife has seen this play out before and never had a problem with it. My wife thinks that this is different because that girl was in a very revealing bikini, and I, as a married man, should know better than talking to her. We saw that lady a few other times during our stay, and I cut our conversation short every time she tried to talk to me. My wife cannot let this go. She thinks that I should admit that it's different to talk to a girl in a social setting versus when she is in a bikini on a beach. I feel having small talk with someone is fine, irrespective of their state of dress or undress. So, dear Reddit forum, please settle this debate for us. Is my wife correct that I am the asshole for talking to a girl when she is wearing a bikini? Or is she being unfair to that lady when she was wearing an appropriate outfit for the place where she was? Note that my wife will also be reading the replies, so please be nice when telling her how wrong she is.
This pisses me off.
There's
one more paragraph added here. Wife here, I think he wrote this post omitting key details. The girl on the beach was clearly flirting and leaning too close to him. She may not have said it explicitly, but you could see she was interested. She also kept on popping up in the resort, restaurant, bar, and lobby after this incident and tried to keep on talking to him throughout the week. It was disrespectful as she did not say a single word to me the whole time. I am not saying my husband was flirting with her, but he should have read her body language and shut her down. Plus, there are bikinis and there was her bikini. Something with her was clearly off.
Amanda, I feel this. Go for it. It's like, what is this power?
Women get mad when men shame, like, women dressing sexy. So women need to stop shaming women who are wearing what they want to wear. Like, stop shaming women. Okay, she's wearing a tiny bikini. In Spain, they don't wear anything. Like, f*** off. I don't know. This makes me so mad. It's just like, I think maybe because it's like too close to home, like as a teenager when I wear bikinis, like wives would be like, don't look at her, she's a Scarlet. And it's like, no. I'm in a f***ing bikini. I have boobs, sorry. Yeah. I apologize in advance. Not my f***ing problem. Yeah. Like, I just like, this makes me so mad. I'm like, why are we so tightly wrapped around our husbands and wives and partners? They're human beings, like, okay, if she was flirting with him, all right, he's a grown-ass man. Let him handle it. And why don't you come up and introduce yourself? Yeah. This shit bothers me so much. And maybe I'm like the 20% that feels this way, but it's just like, when a woman is like talking to my husband, I'm like, great, get it. Like, you're human beings. Like, have a good little flirt, fine. Yeah. Like, if there's an issue there, I will step in or he will step in. It just feels like there's a lack of trust. Like,
I agree with that for sure.
How much is she? I don't know.
And like the fact that he said she was sunbathing and I'm like, okay, well now her head pops up and she's watching him for 10 minutes. Like, I think the only thing that would ever be off is if the husband never mentioned like, oh, I'm here with my wife or something like that. If he was specifically trying to avoid like, not gonna show you my ring hand and all this, then like, sure, but otherwise.
If he's being weird, if he's like, he's with his son. The wife is probably sitting there on the beach like, daggers. Yeah. It's just like, girl.
I was gonna say, like, what do you want him to do? Because she's like, well, you should have, like, she came up to him while his son is building a sandcastle. You can't be just like, hey, let's just move it over here. Like, he is stuck in that location until the son is done doing his thing. And the lady's just like there. Like, what do you?
It bothers me. She's on the beach. Yeah. She wants to wear a teeny tiny bikini. Like,
there's a couple aspects, because since I've seen this before, I've thought about this. There's a couple aspects. One is, I don't think there's any bikini that's too extreme when you're in Miami. Like, you went to Miami, and then you're gonna be like, this bikini was crazy. It's like, you're in Miami. Yeah. Like, you went to the place. Like,
if she was in Italy, they'd be topless. Fuck.
But it's
and
also,
that's in the cold regions.
That's where it's snowing.
Anything goes in Italy.
It's also, I really do think it speaks to like, do you trust your partner? Like,
because
almost to a degree, when you trust your partner and like some person's flirting with them, it's almost like, yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, okay, but
Yeah,
like,
isn't he great?
I know nothing's gonna happen because I know my partner. But like that level of like weirdness of like, oh, I hope that attractive lady doesn't talk to him or else he's gonna leave me. It's like, damn, imagine operating like that.
That's the thing that it boils down to in relationships in general. It's like, okay, if someone's gonna cheat, they're gonna cheat. And it's not gonna be you being like, oh, don't talk to her, that's gonna make them not do that.
Exactly.
So like, why don't we focus on the stuff that's actually an issue as opposed to...
Stop blaming the frickin' woman walking in a bikini on the beach.
And that is the weird thing too, because at first I was like, well, if she is indeed flirting with him, then she's not getting the picture, yada, yada, yada. Like, that's something you could maybe blame. But she's bringing up the bikini a lot. And from the husband's perspective, at least, it's like, well, people come up and talk to us all the time. It's never been an issue, but it's an issue when Bikini Lady does it. So
exactly. And also, like, why don't you two work that out together and be like, if it does become an issue, then it is on him to be like, you're right, I'll let her know that I'm married. But if they're always together, she probably knows you're married.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
don't know.
What I realized thinking about it was just like, if this lady wasn't attractive, if this wife didn't perceive this woman to be attractive, she wouldn't have a problem with this.
If you gotta grab your husband by the arm because they're talking to a woman in bikini on the beach with his son, you guys have bigger issues.
Yeah.
Let the woman in the bikini run into the sunset.
Amen.
F***ing A.
That's like, literally, it's like, my wife is standing behind me as I type right now, and she's like, do it better, type.
She's like, wife here. And it's like, okay, babe, I get it. You might have been hurt, but like, that's between you and your husband. We can't like cage our partners so they never talk to other people. But that is a very personal opinion with me. I have to make that very clear. Like, not everyone agrees with me on that, but like,
for sure.
I enjoy when my partner like lives.
Yeah. The only other aspect of this that I will flag is like, okay, she keeps popping up all these places and she's only talking to him and she completely ignores.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's a little rude.
Maybe he's having an affair.
Oh yeah, he's for sure cheating. No.
You keep saying things like, so nice to meet you for the first time here in Miami for the first time.
Yeah, okay.
But it's like, for me, it's like, regardless of all that, it's still just like, but you trust him. Like, he's not going to do anything. Like, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Also,
and it sounds like he did cut it.
Yourself.
He said, and she agreed, like, he did cut it short, like, whenever she would show up.
That's why I always keep a flask of holy water on me, because if someone's like flirting and making unnecessary advances, I'm like, yeah,
get out of here,
and then they're just like, and
then she's wet, and then she's like, what are you doing?
Some comments here.
Stop, you're crazy.
The verdict was not the asshole. Some comments. Even so, he ignored her flirting, so this should empower wife in the end. What was he supposed to do? Just tell her to F off? Sounds like not the asshole, but maybe it is one of those situations where you would need to really be there to judge properly. Yeah. Someone said, not the asshole. I've been married 37 years. Your wife should let this go. You were not trying to pick the woman up. You were at the beach. If anything, she should feel good that someone else thought you might be attractive. If your wife is half as beautiful as you say, then she has had plenty of guys talking to her regardless of what she is wearing. Again, she should let it go. Otherwise, both of you are going to start monitoring each other's conversations with the opposite sex. This is a slippery slope. Someone else said, I would say don't go to Miami on vacation if you don't want to see women in sexy bikinis who may or may not talk to your husband. Lastly, someone said, I never knew when I was being flirted with. One day I was talking with an attractive girl at a pet store. I guess I was flirting because we are pleasantly married to each other.
Wow.
Oh boy.
If that ain't me.
Oh boy.
But I also saw another comment that was like, I'm guessing your wife is not going to like this subreddit anymore. Because I love that she was like, you need to put this on Am I the Asshole? I'm like, dude, okay. Yeah, which also, separate thing, I don't think settling your feuds on Am I the Asshole is always going to be great, because what you're going to get is he wrote the post and then she had to be like, wife here, clarification, like my side too. It's like nobody on the internet's going to have the full picture. Right. Never.
We don't have the full picture, but I do love what the guy who's been married for 37 years. It's like, if what that means is like, if that is true, then what else is true is like, are you going to start monitoring everything they do?
So that's the thing. If someone is going to cheat, they're going to cheat. Like, that's not, the flirting isn't the issue. Like, do you trust your partner?
Right.
Yeah.
No,
and
I
if
fully
he's having
agree
an affair with Bikini Woman who keeps popping up and he says no, okay, well then that's a different story.
Yeah. But I fully agree with that. And I've a long time ago been in situations where that trust was gone. And it's just like, it just sucks. It's just awful. And if you really trust your partner, it's like you just really need to keep trusting them, and you just both need to keep talking. But allowing that trust and also showing you have that trust, I think, is really, really attractive and great. And it's so comforting to just be like, oh, I don't have to think about this shit. Yeah. Like if someone comes up and talks to me and my partner's nearby, I'm like, I'm not worried about what they're going to think.
No,
they know I'm not going to do anything.
I don't want to like keep my partner in a place where it's just him and I forever. Then he doesn't grow. Then he doesn't like become like.
I also out on the entirety of the human population that's the gender you would be attracted to be able to talk to at all.
Yeah, no. I also think it's a thing in LA, in our industry, you can't think that way because just everywhere you go, there's just so many attractive people. Like, if you go to a party with your partner here in LA, attractive people are going to be talking to your partner.
I
and you're
only
just gonna
hang
have
out
to
with
accept
hotties, personally.
No, but like everyone has their own like style. Everyone's like.
I also think this guy is like me because from my perspective, I feel I've never been flirted with in my entire life. And I think I just don't know how to
flirt with you every day, Shayne.
I don't know how to read it.
I've seen it.
I seriously flirt with you every day.
I don't know how to read it. So I think this guy's like that where he's just like, oh, this lady's just talking to me. It's just like
that is true. I don't think you can read flirting.
I think I would be in the same way. I was just like, yeah, the lady was talking to me, so whatever.
The amount of times I found out after the fact that someone was interested, I'm just
all the time.
Oh,
no,
or
it's
like,
awful.
Or I don't know. I will have situations where like I'm hanging out with somebody and then later they're like, so what do you want to do? And I'm like, oh shit! And I was just like, I didn't even oops.
What? Women
sorry.
see it a mile away. A guy's like, hey, and we're like, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Update. And then update from the wife.
She's like, mother.
Well, you just lost your best customer. Who have you been sending money to?
I am the wife in this situation. My husband and I posted a debate where we were having for the last week regarding an incident that happened during our vacation. Jesus Christ. I got it after the first 100 responses that I was wrong. Not everyone on Reddit needs to chime in on this one.
That's what Reddit is!
Why did you post on every the asshole?
You don't just go like, okay, well, I think she said enough.
You guys didn't need to comment.
Not about him.
I thought this forum would back me up, but I guess I need to take this L like a champion. I am blessed to have a loving and caring husband and an amazing kid. I am also used to women flirting with him all the time. It's not just when our son is with him, but it has happened at his work, bars, weddings, and other places. The worst was when I was giving birth to our son and the nurse helping with the birth told him that his hair looks like Prince Charming. It was 6 a.m. in the morning and he had just woken up, followed by telling him our son is so lucky that he got his blonde hair and blue eyes. The worst part is he is not very perceptive when women flirt with him. He thinks that most women go around talking to strangers and compliment them on their looks, because that is his life experience. When I try to tell him that, he always gets very defensive. I do trust him with all my heart, though, and he is the best husband ever. Some of you asked me what happened from my perspective. I know there is no way for me to not seem like an asshole when I write this, but this is what I saw. We were all enjoying our time on the beach. My son wanted to run around, and my husband volunteered to watch him and let me relax. I was enjoying the ocean and occasionally watching them. At one point, I saw my husband and son sitting on sand and a lady talking to them. No problem. She is just a passerby and noticed my toddler. I close my eyes, and after 5 minutes, I see again, and now this lady is sitting next to my husband, and they are talking. I also noticed she was extremely attractive, and of course I got a bit insecure, since I have a mom bod now. She is laughing at God knows what my husband said. At this point, I started getting curious and was waiting for my husband to look towards me. He finally got up after my son was bored and came running back to me. I asked my husband who the person was, and he said just some mom on the beach having a small talk. I asked him what you guys were talking about, and he said the same things he wrote here. I told him she was gorgeous, and did he notice what she was wearing? He looked at her again and said, oh yeah, that's pretty bold. The whole incident rubbed me the wrong way. Then this lady kept on popping up everywhere we went, and we met her every day.
Staying at the hotel!
My husband introduced me to her the first time we saw her, and she just walked right past me and started talking with him. I then told my husband I was not comfortable with his new girlfriend. I was teasing him. And my husband then immediately blew her off next time she showed up. When we came back, I told him about my insecurity when I saw him talk to her and she was sitting next to him. He again got defensive and told me that he was just being polite. This is when I told him not to talk to gorgeous moms in bikinis. He felt I was attacking him, but I could not help what I felt and was just communicating it to him. This was the silly debate we were having, and I thought you guys would have my back. Anyways, I will try to work on my insecurities and let him talk to moms in bikinis. One PSA is please don't comment on that thread anymore and tell him how right he is. You guys are feeding the beast. Last night, he was sending me links to frames on Amazon because he wanted to print out this thread and put it on a wall. He says it's his first win against me, and the next time we have a disagreement, he can point to it and tell me about the time when thousands of people told me I was wrong.
Oh, she's so controlling.
This is not a silly debate.
No.
This goes back since the beginning.
Yeah.
The fact that you're hanging on to the nurse calling him Prince Charming.
That to me is
when
crazy.
She gave birth. It's like, I don't understand why that's a negative. And I get it. Like, yes, having a child changes you, like mom bod. I can understand. But you have to look inward, lady. Like, that was the clearest thing in the world. Like, you have to stop commenting. It's like,
So, yeah, telling the internet to stop commenting? In
Like,
what world?
hey,
no,
this seems like there's something going on with you that you have to look at.
yeah.
This is my first win against her.
No,
Yeah. Boy.
she's an asshole for going to Reddit and posting on Am I the Asshole and then being upset with the responses
posting
and telling
on
them
it.
to stop. Like, she has to delete her account now because
Yeah.
Reddit's just gonna have her.
AT&T just calls her like, we can't supply internet anymore. I know
We
we're
heard
the
what
only
you
ones with
said.
fiber. You can't do it.
We heard what you said.
You're not allowed to talk to gorgeous women in bikinis. Also, I can't stand, women or man who's just like, that person was gorgeous, right? It's
Yeah.
a test.
Fishing.
It's a freaking test. It's like,
And his response was probably the best that he could have said. It's like, do you see her bikini? He's like, oh yeah, it's pretty bold.
Yeah.
Like, what else are you gonna say?
I will say there is something to be said for like, he does need to know a few techniques to put someone in like a sleeper hold if they try to flirt again. 'Cause that's what, in her perspective, that's what she should have done.
she's like, hey, have you...
1, 2,
I just
3.
love...
Okay, great.
Oh, she was casually looking.
Yeah.
Honey, look over here. I'm just... he can't see me. It's like, he's letting you rest.
He starts where he's like, huh? No, I'd say about 8 inches probably. What are you saying, hon? Like, I don't get what the big deal is.
God damn.
Well, she'll probably be happy that we're telling the story now.
Oh, she doesn't have internet. She's fine.
All right. Am I the asshole for walking out over a chair?
He's like,
My grandma's sitting there.
We had to condense this one for time,
wow.
so
Okay.
we had to trim some of it.
All right, yeah, let me.
Let's get comfy.
Hopefully no important details, but we're good at that. Okay, hear me out. For as long as I can remember, in my family, almost any time I got up from my seat, someone would take it to either be funny or to claim it as if no one was using it. And as a teenager, it literally got to the point I bought my own folding chair so I could pick it up and carry it with me. If I left it where it was, someone would take it. Then they would get mad when I wanted it back. As an example, on a holiday last year, I got up from my chair for a moment to help with something and came back to find a kid in it. And then the family berated me for wanting the kid to move. But I tell them that when a man owns and brings his own chair, they expect to be able to use it. I own a very nice folding chair that's comfortable and easily portable. And I pretty much bring it to any family events because people are always scrambling for chairs. Well, the other day I went to a birthday party for my nephew. And like always, I brought my own chair. But at some point I had to use the bathroom. When I came back, my chair was gone, and everyone acted like they didn't know where it was. I said they had 1 minute to return it or I was leaving. They laughed at first, but then realized I was serious as I started going for the door. Everybody told me just to calm down, and it was just a joke. I said, I don't care if they think I'm a stick in the mud. I wouldn't be bringing my own chair all the time if other people weren't always taking my seat when I get up. I don't think it's funny. I never did. My brother-in-law then pulled the chair out of where he'd hidden it, and when I got it back, one of the legs was bent. I said it was not like this before, and how could he possibly have done this to a metal chair? He said he could fix it and tried to unbend it, but only made it worse. The chair is pretty much unusable now because the leg is warped, and I don't want to risk putting weight on it. I told my brother-in-law he owes me $50 for the chair because that's what I paid for it 2 years ago. He got mad and kept saying it was just a stupid chair. I said it was my stupid chair, and this wouldn't have happened if he wasn't so immature and that he and everyone else had to mess with me for years about where I sit. Then I took my now messed up chair and walked out. My family has been blowing my phone up saying that it's just a chair and to let it go, but I still want my brother to pay me back for it. Am I the asshole? Update. Last night, I sent a mass text out to my family that I will not be going to any family function, no matter how important it is, until they make this right by promising not to screw with me anymore and repay me for the chair. They've mostly gone quiet now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good.
Whoa. Take the chair with you to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like this is not about the chair.
No,
say that.
it's very
You
clearly
know,
not about the chair.
It's like, it's, I don't, who's to say, but maybe it's like he doesn't feel like he has a place, like that he's like seen, or like it feels important to his family or something, and then it ends up being about this chair. Also, like, maybe like the household should invest in like some more chairs.
It just sounds like it's a household that's not very like considerate.
Yeah.
Like he just feels so like nobody's ever going to be polite. No one's really respecting you or your space.
Right.
And it just boils over into this
Little
thing.
things.
Like this is a microcosm of larger things.
Right.
I hate this so much. Yeah. This is the biggest kind of trigger for like the way my mind works, because I know that like I can be a little bit of like a stickler for certain things. Where like if I have a certain spot that I'm sitting and I get up for a second and someone comes back and I get it, like I have to mentally be like, you know what? You got up. It's how it goes. You're going to find another seat. But it doesn't feel right to me. Something about like my social anxiety is like, all right, this is tough, but I'm not going to make it someone else's problem. I'm going to find another spot. That's okay. It's weird that they sat there where my stuff was there. That's okay. But then when like I find out people are doing stuff like that on purpose to mess with me, I'm like, that sucks. Because my mind is weird and I have to deal with it all the time. And now I like learn that you're doing that. Like people, I'm sensitive to noise. I have some like sensory processing stuff. And I've had situations where I found out people were making specific noises to like mess with me, whereas before I was having like a mental battle to be like, I'm okay. So I was like, that sucks. And like to grow up in the environment where you never feel safe. Again, it's not about the chair. It's like always be on your toes, literally, because you can't feel safe or like you have a place in this home.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like very clearly like the brother-in-law knew he wouldn't find this funny. Like they knew it was, they had to have known by that at this point, because it seems like it's been a years-long thing, that it's something that bothers him so much that he brings his own chair places. Right. So by taking the chair and hiding it, it's like, what are you doing? It's like, I want to piss him off. Mm-hmm. It's not, I'm being funny, I'm not pranking, I want to piss him off.
Yep.
That's what you want. You want to upset him.
Yep. Yeah, so there's no right answer for the brother.
Succeeded.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, man, you got what you wanted. It's like, and they're all being like, hey, you're being a stickler over a chair. It's like, they're being a stickler over $50.
Yes.
It's like,
right.
You did f up his chair in the process of trying to piss him off.
Even if you just messed up his chair and you weren't doing a prank, you could be like, hey, I'm so sorry. Here's $50.
Yeah.
It's funny because I feel like here at Smosh, we are pretty good. Like, we're the types to be like, oh, is anyone sitting here?
Right.
I want to make sure I'm not taking someone's chair. Like, we're very considerate over that.
Well, we have chairs in spades.
Oh, yeah, we have a lot of chairs.
Like, if this person so badly didn't want to be like a little stick in the mud for their family, that they bought a chair to bring with them, which is, for the record, insane.
Right.
But, like, they're accommodating their family's thing.
Right, it's what they need to do.
It's what they need to do.
I just don't understand. I've never been able to comprehend desiring to piss someone off. I never understand it, especially at family events where it's like, but I'm also in my family, and there's a lot of us in my family of like, I'm like more of a peacekeeper. Mm-hmm. I want to be like, hey, like keep things mellow, like how can we keep things chill? And so the idea of wanting to like boil shit up at a family event, crazy
opposite
thought.
of my goal,
Same.
Crazy thought.
Hope everything's fine this time. Like,
Verdict was not the asshole.
Right.
Comments, they bully you for years, constantly conspire as a group to prevent you from sitting, hide and break your property, and insult and gaslight you when you attempt to set the smallest boundary. Am I missing anything? I would suggest not attending these get-togethers anymore. They can play musical chairs without you. Seriously, what do you actually get out of going to these things that are worth putting up with the bullying, not the asshole? Someone else said, definitely not the asshole. What your brother did is rude, and he ruined your chair. That you have to bring because of how inconsiderate and rude everyone is all the time. I'd see these people as little as possible. Someone said, not the asshole, your family has zero respect for you. I would go low/no contact. If there are other issues with your family, please get counseling to work through it. Update.
Oh.
I wasn't going to come back here again. To be honest, I'd completely forgotten I made this account. I was listening to Reddit videos on YouTube a couple weeks ago when I suddenly heard my old Am I the Asshole post, so I thought I'd give an update. I wonder whose Reddit videos.
I don't think other people do that.
No, we're the only one.
We're the first and the only.
Well, things escalated a lot after I made that post because I sent it to my parents and other family members after a little while. They were furious with me at first. Some even mocked me, saying things like, "Oh, watch what you say or do around OP. He might just post about it on Reddit." But when they actually read the comments on my post when I made them, they became mortified. My brother-in-law did agree to pay for a new chair and gave me the money I asked for. I bought a better folding chair than my last one and resumed going to family functions. My parents had stopped thinking the chair thing was funny and even scolded a kid for taking my seat when I got up to use the bathroom. The only problem is that this kid was my nephew and he started crying when they made him get up. My brother-in-law came to his rescue and my nephew ended up blurting out that his dad told him he could do it. When I was out of the bathroom, there was a big fight about it going on. Several family members, including my sister and brother-in-law, were all yelling that it was just a damn chair and I shouldn't be so butthurt about it. My parents demanded to know why they were so butthurt about not being allowed to screw with me anymore. Like, what was their motivation after doing it for so long? It made no sense and wasn't funny anymore. That's when I intervened. I told them none of this crap would have ever happened if they hadn't been so intent on messing with me when there really was no point to it. And if they still thought they were in the right about the situation, then they were just bullies, plain and simple. My brother-in-law raged, grabbed my new chair, and hurled it through the living room bay window. There was a bit of a pause before he realized what he'd just done. Then he took off in his car and left my sister and nephew there. My parents got my sister to call him, and over the phone they threatened to go to the police if he didn't pay for the damages. Brother-in-law yelled a few F-bombs until my sister took the phone back, and she said that he can either make things right or she'll divorce him. Well, that did the trick because he came back looking like a kicked puppy with his head hanging low. He apologized to me and my parents without even looking at us, said he'd pay for the new bay window, and left again. My new chair was just fine. It took being hurled through a bay window like a champ. There was hardly a scratch on it. My brother hired a window company to come and replace the window. It took some time, but they got a new window installed. My family was still divided about the situation for a while, mainly brother-in-law's parents, my uncle, and a couple cousins. They blamed me and called me obnoxious for insisting on bringing my own chair and refusing to let anyone else use it. So I compromised. I said that if I had a good designated seat that no one will try to take away, I'll leave my chair in my car. It took 2 more family barbecues before they finally agreed to this. Since then, I've left the chair in my car unless there really wasn't enough seating, and that's only happened once since. Brother-in-law hasn't caused any more trouble, but for several family functions, a number of people didn't bother to show up. My mother was broken up about it because she loves hosting parties. It took months, but everything more or less normalized again. Now pranks are just over. They don't want any more. I'm fine with that. But the last few family functions have been a bit dull. I think they were so used to how things were that now they're trying to find other ways to amuse themselves.
Wow.
So their favorite activity at every gathering was just bullying this one kid. Because it doesn't sound like the pranks happened to anybody else.
Stealing his chairs.
Yeah, because he, again, to your point, he was pissed off. Like, this is sick.
I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know his age. I don't know, like, where, like, in relation to all the family, what like, part he plays in the whole family, you know? But it just, this family's nuts.
Yeah.
And the start of it, I was kind of like, this is all weird. Yeah. The brother-in-law then throwing a chair through a window
yes.
took it to a whole new level.
It's like, that's how angry you're getting about all this?
Good God, okay.
Yeah.
It's a good chair, though.
Yeah.
It sounds like a great chair. That also sounds like it's a lot of family functions.
Yeah,
lot of
mom's addicted.
Yeah.
To throwing these parties.
But if their main activity is messing with this kid, it's like...
Yeah, you would be bringing your own chair. You would be going crazy.
Well, that's it. Moving on. Threaten my friend with revenge porn? I'll ruin your whole damn life. Okay, that's valid.
Okay.
Someone's trying to commit a crime.
Yes.
I'm scared
Go
already.
Batman on them.
Okay, sure.
All right, here we go. This is recent. This is posted recently.
I don't like it when they're recent. It feels too real.
They're all real.
I know they're all real.
Actually,
the other one, that f***ing the dad one was less than a couple weeks ago, as of reading.
It's so weird when they happen close to when the times we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to think every Reddit story happened in 2005.
Honestly, there is safety in that.
Okay, I get that.
Like everyone's
Like that was the
healed from
before
it.
times.
Yeah.
Okay.
BC.
Yeah.
Threaten my friend with revenge porn, I'll ruin your whole damn life. My very good friend made some slightly dumb mistakes and sent some pictures to someone that she reasonably thought she could trust, but not knowing much more than his first name, his screen name, and roughly where he lived and the type of work he did. He is not in our country, but had indicated that he would be traveling for work to near us shortly, and they had made some plans to meet. And when she got some red flags and backed out, the dude threatened to publish these pictures online. I am incidentally an attorney. So, some searching later and gathering up any pictures he sent her of him that could possibly identify him, his online handle led me to a TikTok page, which led me to an Instagram page with his name on it. That led to a LinkedIn page with his place of work that matched a picture he sent with a branded polo he was wearing. Some more searching got me the email of the CEO, VP of HR, Operations Manager, and Public Relations Manager. I just fired off an email on behalf of my client of the screenshots of him threatening revenge porn, snippets of the conversation showing that username while he sent that exact picture of him, wearing his company's branded apparel, links to how I know it's him, along with pictures he sent her of his motorcycle with the license plate showing as further proof it is him. I also included screenshots of him discussing a workplace incident that were time-stamped, along with pieces of dialogue discussing how he had sex with an ex at his place of work and discussing plans to have sex with her in his office as well. I also included a picture he sent her showing his work laptop with his entire Outlook calendar, along with proprietary information, which he sent to prove he was busy, along with other pictures he took of his workplace with non-consenting employees. I further informed his employer that I will be forwarding all this information to their local law enforcement, and since he had indicated that he would be traveling to the United States soon, we'll also forward this to the local office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation as, since my client is a U.S. citizen on U.S. soil, these threats constituted a federal crime. So should they continue with his employment and continue with their plans to send him to the United States for work, I will ensure on behalf of my client that the federal law enforcement is waiting for him on arrival, which I will do as one of the assistant U.S. attorneys for the region is a law school buddy of mine. Since I have his license plate number, I know where he lives and will be contacting his local authorities tomorrow. You dumb motherfucker thinking you were hiding around anonymity, thinking you could threaten my friend. It took me 45 minutes to destroy your life. Also, I f***ed your dad.
That was so good. That was sick, dude.
That is amazing. I actually have no notes on that. You guys know my best friend Hallie. She is actually like a detective with that stuff too. Like she is able to, she can just hear a conversation like and get some details, and then she'll go and dig into like state records and like find people and find like everything that's involved with them. And this entire time it just felt like she was telling me a story. She's often doing that stuff.
No, don't f*** with attorneys.
No.
This doesn't feel like revenge. This feels like holding someone accountable to their actions.
Yeah, this
feels like someone breaking the law.
No, this is justice.
Yeah.
She's backing her friend up.
It's actually, you're right, it's not revenge, it's he committed a crime.
This is what happens when you do that.
He will now be held accountable for said crime.
Yeah. And he and everyone else who tries to do that should be scared.
Yes, exactly. Because all the other stories we're talking about with revenge, it's like, okay, these are like faux pas. Like, don't wear that type of dress to this party. Like, hey, man, don't point your light at my house. Like those, and the revenge, I think, has been fair.
Yeah.
But this is like...
If you do something against the law, it isn't revenge that the law holds you accountable to that law. It's like...
Yeah.
It's just what happens when you do that.
She handled it beautifully, but it certainly isn't revenge.
Some comments here. I feel like you win 2024. Legit revenge. Check. Person's life now super f***ed. Check. Done in record time. Also check. Someone said pro bono revenge. Then someone said technically he destroyed his life. He was just stupid enough to believe that he had any kind of anonymity and crossed paths with exactly the wrong person.
Yeah, this person just had the resources to hold them accountable for what he did.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite is like... Because I will say, like, with the internet and how you could be, like, so, like, mysterious and you could have burner accounts and say comments, it is, like, so cool when someone's like, I could find that account or I could find that person or whatever. I mean, it's not, sometimes it's scary, but it is, like, you can't be invisible and hurt people without it coming back at you.
And that friend that friend is probably feeling so lucky and protected and safe because I just would feel so scared when it comes to that stuff. So to have somebody who was like, there is no need to be scared, I got your back, like, great, great, take care of it, please.
Update.
Ah!
He's in jail.
Update. I killed him.
And I f***ed his
My favorite was my
dad.
buddies, the U.S.
Dad
Update,
on
his dad got f***ed.
funeral. Okay.
Update, I tried bamboo instead.
If we grow bamboo here now, it will make its way to him. All right. Barely 12 hours later. Before I get into the update, though, I want to clarify a few things from my original post.
Okay.
All right, fine. Primarily about the contact to the employer and why. Some questioned its truthfulness. While the entire story is true, some details were omitted for various reasons. There was more I had in our possession that did positively identify this individual. So would a lawyer contact his employer, like some stated would not be done? Depends. I did not do what I did on behalf of a client who retained me. I did it as a friend to help a friend. And as her friend, who is also a labor and employment law attorney, I knew exactly how to squeeze this. And here's the thing. I was absolutely aware from the onset that the revenge porn threat would go nowhere with his employer, even if I could clearly lay out how the person with this screen name was in fact this person who works at this company. All we had are screenshots. If it was just the revenge porn threat, any employer would go, well, thank you for bringing it to our attention, but even if we accept our employee uses this screen name and we neither confirm nor deny anyone of that name works here, we have no provenance on this. This is just an alleged screenshot of an alleged conversation that could be easily edited and manipulated. Please feel free to pursue this with local authorities and rest assured, should we be asked to, we will cooperate fully with any law enforcement inquiry, but we have no further comment at this time. And I know that's what they would say because that's exactly what I would say. An alleged screenshot of an alleged conversation that was allegedly sent under an alleged username that is allegedly one of our employees. Whatever, dude. Call the cops if you're worried about it. We'll answer them honestly if they come to us. The issue wasn't the revenge porn threat. It was a picture of the contents of the work laptop, because that can't be faked. There's no way for her or me to create a false image of the actual proprietary information on his work computer unless he sent it. There's no way for me or her to have possession of images taken of his coworkers without their consent unless he sent them. The proof here wasn't that this person broke the law. It's that he sent pictures of company employees and property, which would absolutely be verifiable by their IT department that yes, this is absolutely his laptop. That's what would get him fired. So I advised my friend not to block him, to sit back and wait and not respond to anything but let him dig himself deeper. And respond, he did. Second quick update. He's been fired. So with now definitive proof that the individual in the online conversation is in fact this person, we'll forward it all to the local authorities in his country, along with his license plate number. They're more than capable of getting his home address. Well, so he's been fired, and it sounds like he'll probably be charged with something.
Case closed.
Yeah, she got him. Now
Nuclear.
They just got to find his dad.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wow. I think
That's
I learned a
awesome.
lot from that last story, actually.
That?
I didn't know any of that stuff.
Holy shit. Man.
There's so many allegedly.
So many allegeds.
She's a chosen.
Yeah.
Easy. I hacked into his company's mainframe and
Easy. I found a picture of his motorcycle.
oh, the license plate. Got it.
A lot of legends today.
Yeah, man.
That was crazy.
Damn.
Wow.
I want attorney friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I have are comedian friends. You guys just make me laugh. But what if you guys like hunted someone down who did me wrong?
I think I can do more.
I think Arasha, I think out of all of us, Arasha's
Honestly, yeah.
capable of that.
Yeah, that's so true.
I could do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I the asshole for letting my boyfriend touch my surrogate bump, upsetting my sister? Okay. Hi, Reddit. So last year, I, a 29-year-old woman, agreed to be a surrogate for my sister. Let's call her N. And her husband, both 27. Due to an unfortunate high likelihood of infertility diagnosis in my sister, they didn't have the funds to hire an actual surrogate, and I am basically the only person they're actually close with that has a child, a requirement to be a surrogate, meaning I was essentially their only option. I didn't love the idea at first, but after watching them struggle to conceive for the last 2 years, and some light insistence from my sister, I said okay. They did agree to pay me some form of compensation, but from Googling it, it seems like it's maybe 30% of what it would normally cost. Anyway, fast forward to today, and I'm 7 months along, and all has gone realistically pretty well. My sister has definitely been checking in on me all the time, but I can't really blame her for that. But the problem occurred a couple days ago. So a couple months ago, I met a guy at a work event, let's call him C, and we hit it off. He has a couple of kids of his own, so he doesn't mind anything about my situation, and it's been going really well. Now that we've been together for a couple months, I wanted to introduce him to my sister, so I set up a dinner for the 3 of us. Originally 4, but her husband couldn't make it. My sister picked me up and drove me over since he was going to meet us there, and as soon as I got in the car, I already felt like she was upset, but didn't think anything of it. We sat down at the restaurant and waited until C arrived. He came over and greeted us, giving me a kiss and quickly rubbing my belly. Nothing really out of the ordinary, but I could see my sister's eyes bulge. I was super confused but didn't say anything about it. We went about our night and she played nice-ish, but was pretty quiet, and honestly it was a pretty awkward meal. When we left and I got back in the car, she just unloaded onto me, saying how weird it was that he kept touching my belly. I asked her what the hell she was talking about, and she said that apparently he basically had his hands on it the whole night, and also that it was super weird because it's her baby. I just rolled my eyes and told her regardless of it being her baby, it was my body, which just made her even more mad. I don't know, she hasn't talked to me in the last 2 days over this. I really don't feel like she has any right to police physical intimacy between me and my boyfriend, just because it's her baby I'm carrying. Like, look, I'm pregnant and I have a boyfriend. Obviously he's going to touch my bump. Am I the asshole? Edit, just because I'm seeing this a lot, baby is not biologically mine. It's her and her husband's. I'm a gestational surrogate. Also, maybe I undersold it in my initial description, but he did touch it a lot more than just when he greeted us. He basically had his hand on it the whole time while we weren't eating. I didn't really think anything weird about it, but figured I'd clarify.
Now,
Oh, this is so messy. This is so I do just first off the bat, I think if your sister is going, because I've heard this happen before, just having a sister be a surrogate. I think you have to really go over like some ground rules before.
That's a big
because
undertaking.
the part of like watching their every move, like you gotta go over some ground rules.
Yeah.
Other than that, this story's messy.
Oh yeah, super messy.
so many different directions.
What do you think?
I think that, you know, I was sort of on board with like, yeah, this is messy, could go either way, but like something that's sort of like ding, 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 for me is, okay, she met this guy while she was pregnant, and he keeps rubbing her tummy. Now, I was gonna make the joke of like, oh, if she doesn't, you know, if she's mad, even doesn't talk to you, you're gonna see her within 2 months for sure. But also like, oh, if you hate touching the belly, like, they probably still have sex right now. I don't necessarily have to assume, but like it's likely. So if he's met her when she was pregnant and they're having sex and he's rubbing some tummies a lot, that like, it's worth looking at.
That's a possibility. That's a possibility. That's the top.
Wait, what are you saying?
That's the top comment.
Sorta into like.
That's the top comment.
Oh, he's into pregnant women.
So the top comment here is not the asshole, but I'd keep an eye on the boyfriend. I'm pregnant with my second, and my husband only touches the bump when I ask him if he wants to feel a kick. Your very new boyfriend having his hands on the bump all the time is strange to me, and I'd be worried about a kink. But your sister has no business policing how you live your life as long as you're medically healthy, and needs to take a step back and remember what an incredible favor you are doing for her and her husband.
Yeah, and just,
I like that
see
comment.
That. I see that. That's kind of how
the boyfriend. When she clarified, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
But the sister.
No, it's
a lot.
That's a lot, and it is her body. It's like your surrogacy is it's a big deal. I don't. The sister's being an asshole. I also understand why. Like that's an emotional, crazy place she's in.
But it's also like.
But she also needs to check herself and be like, oh, but that's your body, and you're carrying my baby, but that's your body, and your boyfriend's allowed to. Like, when you're in a relationship, you're allowed to do what you want there. Like,
but I think we sort of have a diverging path here now, though, because like, I agree that in any other case, the sister telling her about her body, like, not great unless, you know, they laid it out in the ground rules beforehand and that was a breach of that. And I will also say, to clarify, it's not that a pregnant woman cannot be attractive. It's that this guy is really sort of going for the stomach. Yeah. So if the sister is picking up on that and is watching this new boyfriend rub all over the stomach constantly and then gets in your mind like, oh, this might be a kink for him, that's when I would be like, what the f***? And I feel like maybe I would be angry too, you know.
Totally.
But that's then maybe something you'd want to discuss with your sister as opposed to you can't let someone
But
touch
is she
the belly.
protecting her sister or is she mad about the baby inside of her?
I'm sort of like, I can't possibly, I'll do my best to like put myself in the situation because obviously I haven't gone through this, but like it's for me, it'd be more a matter of like, oh, my baby in your body, yes, but my baby is now somehow party to this creepy man who has a kink about it. That would feel uncomfortable to me, even if I can't fully define exactly what it is.
But it is her.
It is her body.
I agree with you. That's why it's messy, because
It's
it is her body, it is her decision, but it is their baby, and it's also like they should have went over some ground rules before.
Yeah, I'm not saying she's right. I'm saying like
I don't even know.
I get why she'd be like.
I don't know who's. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a situation I'm super foreign to. You know, like
yeah.
It'd be interesting to have someone here who's gone through surrogacy to talk about that. But
Yeah.
But it's a lot. It doesn't sound like she doesn't quote anything that what the sister said was. She said he basically had his hands on it the whole night, and it was super weird because it's her baby.
The whole night they're eating food. Like what is?
But I do think that comment is very valid, and I understand like if she were to be like, hey, I think this is a kink for him, and that feels weird for me. And and I would feel weird too.
That's why I want to know, was the sister upset because she was trying to protect her sister in that situation? Or
It doesn't
was it more
seem like it.
Control over the baby?
But it also seems like maybe she doesn't even know why she's upset. Like, or she just is just upset by what she's seeing.
She might just be upset by the whole thing. Maybe it's like 7 months in and she's probably like, what did I do?
The verdict was not the asshole, which I think is completely fair.
I agree.
I agree.
Because we're going on this possibility that what this guy.
She's having a baby for her sister.
It's another one where it's like, if I was there and you're at dinner with these people and you see it, it's like, this could be very different than what we're doing. It's like, this guy could really be like weird. And it's like
spaghetti on the tummy.
it's also a thing, It's also a thing where it's not like a boyfriend that they've known for a long time, like that's kind of part of the family. It's like, it's a new boyfriend. So he's a little bit of a stranger. So it's also like, oh, this stranger has his hands. And it's like,
I think at the very least, not the asshole.
He's like tequila shots.
Yeah.
No, I agree, not the asshole. But there's an update.
She had the baby, and it's his.
Oh no!
I'm just kidding.
And the baby ordered tequila shots. You can't drive.
Baby's like, huh?
It's been over a month since my original post, and was surprised by how much interest the post got, so I figured I owe you guys an update post. Sister update. On the sister front, all is well. We talked it over very shortly after my post. Some complicated emotions we had to work through, but we're in a good place now. It is too long to get into here, but I can tell you on this front, it was a happy ending, and she is very excited to meet her baby next month. Boyfriend update. This one went a little different. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, wow.
How different is it?
Yeah.
There were a lot of people in the comments suggesting he had a pregnancy fetish, which previously to my post I didn't even know existed. We've got a Ken Bone in here, guys.
Oh boy.
I pondered on it, but wasn't really sold on the idea, and coincidentally, he actually went on a work trip for about 3 weeks shortly after, so we didn't really talk until he came back to town, which was about a week and a half ago now. Honestly, when he came back, I'd almost forgotten about that as a possibility, so when I went to see him for the first time in nearly a month at his apartment, and he instantly lifted up my shirt, and told me how much bigger I'd gotten, I didn't really think anything of it. He was right. I did actually grow a lot, and it seemed like a normal enough reaction, but looking back on it now, it wasn't even like he hugged me or greeted me or gave me a kiss. It was just straight away right to my bump.
Oh boy. Oh.
We ended up getting dinner with one of my friends later that same night. Again, me still in some form of either denial or just inattention, I guess just like the last time. I didn't really notice his behavior being weird, but when he went home and I went with her to her house, she had some questions similar to my sister. Is that not exhausting for you? She asked me, which I was just confused by. All the belly touching and rubbing and the comments and the jokes and stuff, she followed up. Me, it doesn't seem too irregular to me. People make jokes and comments to me all the time, even you do. Sure, I'll make some every now and then, but in a 1 hour dinner, he made so many. Like he described you as his overinflated girlfriend. Something about being ready to pop, something else about a balloon, and I know there were others I'm forgetting.
No.
Hearing it now from my sister, my friend, and from Reddit, it finally kind of clicked for me that maybe, in fact, everyone else was right. I had her drop me at his place and I confronted him about it. Not in an aggressive way or anything, but just asked him if it was true. To my surprise, he looked at me in surprise and just said, yeah, I thought you knew. Sorry, I thought it was kind of obvious.
Ooh.
We had a long talk about it. I don't really think a fetish is an inherently bad thing, and people like to make them more taboo than they need to be. While his behavior was obviously something strange, it was never violent or honestly, and it never even upset me. I told him I would think about whether I wanted to continue seeing him.
You got a month.
Yeah,
that's it.
She's not gonna be pregnant forever.
Yeah.
I told him I would think about whether I wanted to continue seeing him, which he was okay with and gave me space. I haven't really reached out to him yet, but I am thinking about it, as I did enjoy the time we spent together, even regardless of his inclinations. Anyway, those are the updates. Hope you enjoyed the happy and sort of happy ending for both. No. I think that does put a lot of context, because if he was saying, she seems to just have been oblivious, right? That like he's calling her his overinflated girlfriend, all this stuff. I now understand the sister being like, hey, that's a lot of that's a little out of pocket. Like,
I'm really glad that the sisters,
they're good.
I'm really glad about, because that's the
good.
most important thing.
Agreed.
But what is he gonna do when she has the baby and she's not pregnant anymore?
He's gonna be like, I stole this basketball. Quick, they're coming. Will you hide it for me? Like,
God.
And I also, look, it's funny that she's like, oh, do you have this fetish? He's like, yeah, absolutely. Now, my only thought, because yes, there's nothing wrong with fetishes or kinks amongst consensual adults. However, he knew he was going to dinner with like the person who's the surrogate, like receiving the surrogacy. I'm assuming.
but even like mixed
known.
company of like it's someone else's.
It's just like, hey, in that situation, man, like maybe just.
He's loud and proud with his kinks.
Not here.
But here's the thing with kinks, though. Like, every
Yeah,
I don't
tell
like
us.
it. So here's the thing. I don't like it when people are involved in them before they realize it. Like, it's the same thing where like I'm not going to kink shame, but when you see those like posts where it's like, oh, someone had like a leash on the subway, like it's not a matter of like someone doing it. It's like, okay, you're involving people. It's like, will you hold the leash? Like I've heard about that happening at cons. I think you even read that on a Reddit story once. So that really bugs me.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was like, oh, I thought you knew. It was kind of obvious. That's possible. That's what he meant. It's also, I think, a manipulation tactic to be like, oh, you're caught. Yeah, I thought we were all on the same page. Oh, aren't you chill about it?
It's clear
I thought
that
we were in
she
an open
didn't-
relationship.
yeah, it's clear that she didn't know.
Wasn't communicated directly, and so I think that's weird.
Yeah.
And then if the sister's at dinner, like, no matter who that is, whether it would have been the person who's having the baby biologically or not, it's someone else there, and you're having a conversation about like, yeah, my basketball girl there. Like, it's...
She's about to pop.
It made the friend uncomfortable too. The friend was like that was a lot.
And she didn't write that he was bricked up the whole time.
But I get it. That's there's a lot to unpack in that story. I'm very curious in the comments down below, like people's thoughts on it, because that's one that I got to process. Like I'm gonna be thinking about that one for the next week of just all the like levels to it.
Yeah, I definitely don't think she's the asshole.
No.
But I definitely think she's like in a new world. She's like, I'm having a baby for my sister. Pregnancy kink, like, whoa.
It's a lot of things thrown at her.
Yeah.
I am seriously contemplating divorcing my husband over a prank.
He threw the baby through a window.
Oh no. She didn't throw a window through a baby.
Oh no.
No. I'm sorry it's a long vent, but I honestly feel so much rage. My husband and I are both 32 years old with a 6-week-old baby. We have been together for 7 years. Pranking each other has been something we do, especially early in our relationship as a bit of fun. He has been known to take them too far at times, and I don't know what to think. Since I've been home with the baby, he has continued playing pranks, and my tolerance is very low. Between sleepless nights and all the hormones, I find myself absolutely raging at him for these pranks. He tells me I'm being too serious, I'm no fun, and I am, and I quote, a chronic overreactor, whatever that is.
Sorry, that just came out.
3 pranks in particular have angered me to the point of tears, raging out, and now I am contemplating divorce. Prank 1 was making coffees for our guests with my breast milk.
Oh my God!
What?
I love looking out of the room. Marcus is on the far other corner at a table, and I look up and he's just like this. He just.
Ian just enters from office like, whoa, you can do that?
Ian's like, not the asshole. Whoa.
Whoa.
Dude, that's a gift if I've ever
incredible
seen
person.
it. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Prank 1 was making coffees for our guests with my breast milk. I am having trouble pumping, so I don't have much stored away. I was so angry and embarrassed. I'm sorry, we need to, I hope she covers more of that, because that's, several people were not consenting to that prank. Prank 2 was pretending to have cut his fingers off in the garden. He dragged it out for ages and splattered fake blood around, not just a quick little joke. And lastly, prank 3, which happened today and I feel is my final straw. Last night I was hinting about breakfast in bed, so this morning he brought me coffee, toast, and some chocolates. What I assumed was peanut butter on my toast was in fact our baby's poop. And as I have severe sinus issues, I didn't realize and took a small bite and I spat it out straight away. He laughed hysterically and I told him to get out. He later messaged me and said all his workmates thought it was hilarious, which is just embarrassing on top of it all. I am just so angry, hurt, and sad, but also I don't feel like myself yet after having my baby, so I don't know. Am I overreacting? Would you consider these pranks way too far? They aren't the only ones, the ones that have caused massive fights. He also has set off alarms while I'm sleeping when I'm sleep deprived as it is, etc. This fits so into the meme that I say where it's like women posting about their partners being like, am I overreacting? He lit our house on fire while I was inside.
That's crazy.
This is literally like...
Oh my God.
I don't even know what to say.
I'm still... okay, look, it somehow got worse, but I want to know, he used her breast milk and gave her breast milk to
other people.
Guests.
How is this not the first Reddit story that you've had on this show that was about feeding someone else your breast milk? Why do people do that? You can't do that. You can't.
No, that's unbelievable. All of that is unbelievable.
And she didn't have a lot of breast milk either. She said that she was running low.
Like, I am having a hard time pumping. I'm also sleep deprived, and he's waking me up. It's like,
who is this guy? What is he doing?
Okay, I think the lesson here is don't have a baby with Mr. Bean.
Hey, Rowan Atkinson is a treasure.
No, even Mr. Bean would be like, whoa. What are you doing? This is sadistic. I'm like, what I'm also fascinated by is like, I obviously don't have a kid. I don't, but I've only heard stories. They have a 6-week-old baby, and this guy has the energy to be doing this crazy shit.
Well, he's not helping out.
No, he's not doing shit. Yeah. But I'm like, the f.
Why are you pranking a new mom? Like, there's a lot to do.
This is the last person in the world, like,
yes,
I'd prank.
A prank would be, actually, that's not our kid's shit. It is peanut butter, but I told you it was shit. And it's like, oh,
even
maybe, you know what I mean? But it's like, I know, but it's just like, it's actual shit. That's crazy.
You poisoned your wife. She's sleep deprived. Like this is a prison where you're being tortured. Yes.
Oh.
And I'm assuming the baby isn't like, hey, you've had some rough nights, and I know he's been waking you up. I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna chill out.
Yeah. No. Alarm and baby screams.
Squirm. Yeah.
The comments here are as we'd expect. These aren't pranks. These are abuse and giving your guests breast milk? What on earth made him think they'd be okay with it? And shit on toast? What the actual f***? That is not okay, ever. I'd be divorcing him if I were you. That is beyond messed up. And then telling his coworkers? God, if I had a coworker say they did that to their wife, I'd be absolutely disgusted and horrified for their wife. Someone else said, no, you are not overreacting. That is psychological abuse. Get yourself and your child out of that situation. Your husband fed you shit, then laughed at you. That is not the story you want for yourself. Someone else said, what the f***? Is this real? This can't be real. No grown-ass 32-year-old man would think that's funny and appropriate. Why are you with him? Jesus, that's not a prank, that's assault. Tricking someone into eating something, especially human secretions and waste, is a felony. OP said, I'm in Australia, so I will look into the law here, but I doubt anything will be done in a legal sense.
There's no overreacting, it's reacting. She is reacting to this stuff. And if someone's saying constantly that you are overreacting, something's not being addressed.
No, I almost think she's underreacting.
The fact that she's not 50 miles away in a car, like, calling for help, like...
The fact that she was able to write, like, yeah, he gave our guests my breast milk, and then, like, moved on to other parts of the story, I'm like, what? Update.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I had a very brief chat with him. He came home, I was in the master bedroom with the baby and told him to go away, so he sat in the living room, ordered himself KFC delivery, and gamed. I went down and flatly said, on what planet was what you did this morning appropriate? He straight out said, you should have seen the look on your face, and began hysterically laughing again. I kept my cool and said he wasn't welcome in the bedroom tonight. I am going to go to my sister's for a stay. I don't know any further plans at this time. It has been a long 6 weeks, and if anything, for the next week, I want to catch up on some sleep and be able to enjoy my baby. Update number 2.
Okay. Please be safe.
My husband is now giving me the silent treatment and acting annoyed at me, which I've come to realize is what he does if things don't go his way. He will sulk about things until I give in. I've had a lot of time to read replies, and I really look back on a lot of things and realize that he uses pranks and jokes as a way to be horrible to people and gain attention. His parents think it's funny and that he is a hilarious goofball, when in reality he isn't. I look back and so many pranks have been so awful and mean. Even in 2018, he gave a friend a marijuana gummy before a flight from San Francisco to Australia, and his friend had a panic attack in the bathroom on the plane, and he still laughs about it and thinks it is one of his greatest tricks. He has accidentally let my pet Budgie out that I had prior to when we met, but now I look back and it was most certainly on purpose, as he doesn't like animals and always said birds were dirty animals. What I've really noticed looking back is not just the pranks, but he has zero care if someone is worried or upset about a prank. It in fact eggs him on more and more, and he goes to great lengths to trick people into a state of upset, then will laugh and brag about it, which just leads me to think he has no empathy for another human being. Ultimately, I have lost trust in him. Even if he says no pranks again, I will not believe him, as he has said that before, then planned on elaborate month-long prank. I don't want him pranking my baby. He constantly tags me in pranks on Facebook involving kids, and he will 100% do it, as some I've said are not cool, and he said it's character building. He has no respect in reality, and even the stupid things he does, like leaving his own poop in the toilet for me to find, or waking the baby, or wetting the car seat before I hop in, are just blatant displays of disrespect. My sister is on her way to pick me up, and I'm going to have a week away and most likely get legal advice regarding separation.
Period.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, the like emotional manipulation there is insane. Like, I feel like this term is overused. Maybe it's not the right term, but I'm like, this might be a psychopath. Like, he's constantly poisoning people. Shit, breast milk, weed gummies, none of these things are consented to. He's laughing about it and then manipulating their emotions afterwards. That kid is not safe. And I pray that, like, she has full custody.
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly a trait, because he like the severe lack of empathy that he finds, you know, people's negative emotions funny. That I'm like, you don't, when someone's in a state of distress, especially your wife who has a 6-year-old baby, you'd feel zero care, zero, and feel zero remorse. You're immediately just upset and like, fine. The like nonchalant, let's just be like, well, I'm gonna order KFC and game then if you're upset. It's like, so
you don't care at all?
No, it seems true. It seems like the pranks are as we were saying earlier, it's like, this is sadistic. Like, these are a guise for him to kind of like have fun with people and like get his enjoyment out of hurting people.
Yeah.
Scary stuff.
Very scary.
No, I mean, because, you know, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not an expert, but, you know, we think of psychopaths as like killing people and stuff, and it's like, what I think it often comes out as, like, those types of traits are like probably more like this, you know, like more day to day. But I'm not an expert on that. I mean, look, there's no diagnosis that's necessary. This guy's awful.
Right. He's been diagnosed as awful.
I can kind of relate to this in a way, because I think people will be able to guess it. I worked with an actor who on set was like, it was often in the guise of like, oh, I'm being silly, I'm being goofing, I'm like saying jokes and stuff. But it's like, or are you kind of abusing the crew and abusing your castmates and like making shit so hard for others, and you think it's funny, but it's really a power trip. Yeah. And it's really just a way of kind of like putting people down.
Right.
Yeah, this is crazy. That might be true. Like, we've read a lot of really scary people. That might be he could be the worst guy.
He sounds like the scariest person.
It's terrifying, yeah.
No, truly awful.
Like he's like, oh, he's waking the baby as like one of his pranks. I'm like, you have no instinct for this creature that you need to take care of.
Waking a 6-year-old baby, like I said, I don't have a baby, but that seems crazy and awful to me. I'm glad she's getting out of there. She's getting her baby out of that situation. I hope there's legal recourse against him because a lot of that stuff feels like there is.
Right.
She listed several to me,
crimes.
I hope are crimes.
Yeah.
And then was like, oh, and he also did all these other things. Like some of those are also, I'm pretty sure, crimes.
My hope is also that the sister was just being overly polite before. The second she's like, do you think Dave is actually kind of bad? She goes like, oh my God, thank you. Yes, Dave sucks. Everyone hates him.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping the family is there to just be like, oh, yes,
to
get out of here.
embrace and support, yeah.
Oh my God.
Good for her getting out of that.
Oh.
I'm excited to hear one of these with pranks.
Yeah.
Right.
We've still yet to have an actual prank here.
I'm curious, what do y'all consider pranks? Because I do feel like in the past, at least for as long as the internet's been a thing, pranks aren't a thing anymore. It used to be oh, I bought fake throw up on the ground and you thought it was throw up and you had to clean it up and it was plastic. Tee.
Right. That's what I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a prank, to me, pranks, I think need to be, I like positive pranks.
Right.
I don't like when a prank is like, oh my God, this is horrible. Oh, okay, it's not horrible. Or I don't know, it's
haha, you thought I was dead.
any sort of discomfort or any sort of I don't know, I'm not a fan of it. I think a prank ultimately, I don't really prank people. I know that sounds a little hypocritical. I don't really like to prank people on a day-to-day basis unless there's some way of the only type of prank I would do is if I'm giving someone a gift and there's some way to psych them out, and then it's oh, but here's a better thing. But I don't have an example of that in my head.
I think I'm probably a little biased against it because I did have a situation when I was really, really young that my uncle freaked me out with the prank because he did this sleight of hand thing, and I thought he literally took my nose from my face, and I was like, oh my God, and he's like, I have this now. And then he gave it back, and I was like, okay.
That was really funny.
That's how you know it's funny is when someone goes that was funny.
That was funny.